I love you guys.
Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds for another review of our X-Men movie series leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine. Sara, Kevin, Will, and I, unfortunately without Cameron again, because I don't know what happened to Cameron, but...
He can never finish anything. He gets halfway through stuff and then just can't do it.
Yeah, we are here to talk about Logan, what was supposed to be the end of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but he will be back, of course. But we're here to talk about...
I thought we were talking about Cyclops.
No, we are not talking about Cyclops, Kevin.
Wait, is the Florida sun a little too hot down there, hon?
So actually what happened was I ordered these when we first started and they finally just came, thanks Amazon. So I was like, well, I'm not wasting them. There's only one place I'm ever going to wear them, and it's right here. Hey guys.
Exactly.
I feel like there are 100 places you would wear those. Don't even.
All right, well, so before we get into impressions, the Rotten Tomatoes score, the critics gave Logan a 93%. The audience gave it a 90%, so very high up there. And the box office was $619.2 million. At the time, it was the third highest rated R film, I believe. At that point, I believe the first Deadpool was above it as well. And then I can't remember what the other one was because Deadpool 2 came out a year after Logan. But so I'm trying to remember, but I can't off the top of my head. So but let's get into impressions. What did you guys think overall of Logan?
Let's hear from Cyclops, I guess. Let's go, dumbass.
I mean, listen, it is obviously a great movie, right? Like, it's very well done, and the way that they the way that they include the X-Men, right, as like being the comic book, right, and that it's based but it's not real, like, gives them a lot of ability to like make it even like more depressing in a way that is like rips your heart out, but is like the point of entertainment. So like,
so none of this shit's real.
Sadly not.
What? You would like get like 2 fucking movies and then just drag me into 2 dead dads. You know what I mean? Like, you're just dropping so much shit on me right now. What? It's not even real? Was there a scene I missed where they just like wake up? Like, what the fuck?
No, okay, so when they're in the hotel, right, he finds he finds her comics.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, like, yeah, what happened? What, maybe 25% of it was real, right? Like, so in this version, right, like the X-Men, like, it's almost as if the X-Men that we watched were like the fictional stories based on their real lives. So they're able to like be darker. Like, the R rating makes more sense because like that was the like fun, cute kitty version, but like this is the real world. And in the real world, mutants died.
Yep, everybody else but Charles and Logan just died. So
Charles died. This is gonna be the third.
Yeah, this is gonna be the third time.
Well, no, at this point, it's the second time. The third time happens later on in a different movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, I mean, if we're counting Days of Future Past where the Sentinel's about to
you have to, because it's that Charles. Like, I'm counting it. Like, we're gonna count.
I count it.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be when we get. We've already talked about Multiverse of Madness when that came out. So, but that will be the 4th time. So let's hear from Will here on what you think the impressions of Logan are for you.
Oh my God, it was an emotional roller coaster. I love the rated R tone to it. I love the grittiness to it. It felt like a modern Western which was really cool. The music, the soundtrack, like everything leading up to it was such a great experience. Very depressing. And what made it very devastating too is we grew up with Wolverine. We've seen Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and like we've seen him in his prime, like and so seeing like an older version of it, somebody who can't like do what he used to, and you're sitting there and like you see him getting jumped at times, and he's struggling with these like simple fights. You're just like in the back of your mind, you're like in the beginning where he's getting jumped, you're like Wolverine in this prime would have been all over these guys, but like he's an older man now, and
him needing the readers with the little tag still on them, hilarious time, right? Like,
oh my god, like it was such a great experience for even if for as heartbreaking as it got. I loved it. Like it was such a great movie, and I was so glad that they just committed to just doing rated R because it got us all hope. They thankfully in the movie they gave us a scene like of the closest back to Prime Wolverine we're gonna get to where you could see what a Prime Logan would do,
right?
In a rated R setting. So I was so grateful that they gave it to us because it's just fitting for him. And also like a little nod to them. I do love the creative choice they did naming it Logan and not just another like Wolverine thing because this truly was about Logan as the person and not the persona Wolverine, and I loved it. It was a great time. I mean, I cried, but like overall, it was a great movie.
Yeah, it definitely is heartbreaking, as you said. Like we'll get to all the heartbreaking moments in this movie, but it's definitely not as fun as some of the other ones have been, or as the Deadpools that we'll talk about the next couple of weeks. But Sara, your impressions of Logan?
I thought I was just gonna have like a nice Sunday, fold my laundry, and you guys hit me with this shit. Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. Impressions of the movie. Fuck you guys for making me watch that. 100%. That it obviously hits a little home to me. I think it was a good movie. I think in a lot of ways it's also relatable, everyone now kind of, the whole gay mutant being different thing, but like in this one, when you're involving a kid, like so many kids and like people, even adults, can think back to their childhood and think of like times when like, maybe they felt alone or that their parent wasn't fully there, or maybe then it, just so many situations, and it just makes it so relatable, and that like it will pull on your heartstrings even if you can't like personally relate to it. So I really like it in that aspect. Yeah, the whole dad-daughter thing just kills me. It was a good movie. I do think the opening scene though, I was like, is this fucking Saw for kids? What are we doing right now? This is intense. And then I was like, then it just got worse and sadder, and I was just like, no, go back to the fun times. Like, let's do the thing,
Yeah. Yeah,
I liked it when it was Saw. At least there was some.
I liked it. Saw. Let's go back.
I like Saw was the good times.
Yeah.
Well, it's a dystopian movie. It's not meant to be a good time. You're just there for a ride. You're just like,
yeah.
It was a fucking ride. And I'm not one of those people that typically is like affected by movies because like, I'm a tough bitch. You know what I mean? Whatever. But like shit, that it was done so well and like just different from the other movies you've seen. So like again, it's just relatable in a softer manner while you are still having this crazy thing like mutants and all this shit. Like Will said, it's not about Wolverine, it's about Logan. You know what I mean? So it breaks it down to that human aspect, and it was really good.
Yeah.
I still hate Kevin though, and I'm not watching Apocalypse because he likes it. So
Days of Future Past.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just like the way it takes that it breaks down Logan, as Will said, is just amazing. We haven't seen this side of Logan up until now, and to see his character in this way just really, really works. And this is James Mangold also directed the Wolverine, the one where he's in Japan, which I think this is a much better version of what he wanted for that movie. Like this just worked a lot better from what I wanted from like another Wolverine movie. So but let's get into just like the major points of this movie. So we have the opening, as we've referenced, that, you know, it's Logan really, you know, getting beat up a lot more than he used to and not being able to pull it, like he's pulling his punches. And so, and we hear after that this is 2029. All the mutants except for Charles and Logan are gone, and obviously we'll see these kids later. But that's
and Caliban, I assume, and they reference to Caliban like helping them hunt them down. So I assume that there are some others, but like they're very scattered. They're not like a united. It's the opposite of X-Men 2.
Right, exactly. So yeah, and
disbanded.
So the state of the universe, post-apocalyptic, Logan and Caliban and Charles are on this like abandoned ranch and like trying to live out the last of their days basically. And Charles is old and senile, has to take medicine, or else like whenever he has a seizure, like his powers just like disrupt everybody and destroy everything. Like it's crazy. And just what do you guys think of this, like how they set up this world and these characters here?
I mean, it's depressing.
Yep.
Wolverine Logan is still brutal. Like he's chopping people's arms off. So you know, cool. It is like, it's also just like, it's brutal too, though, in the like, sort of way, because like you're talking about people who were so famous that they were writing books about them, like making fictional stories on their life, and now he's so broke that he's having to like drive the fancy Uber. Like it's like oof, and like Charles is in a water tower that has collapsed and is on its side. Like
honestly, have you guys ever seen that movie Aquamarine? It's been done before.
But like that, like they've, because we're so used to seeing the X-Men like in the mansion with like unlimited resources, and like that looks like some like abandoned factory, not even a ranch. Like it looks like just a building that like was abandoned and nobody was there, so they can go there and mostly be left alone. And it's in the middle of nowhere, so if Charles does have a seizure, it doesn't affect as many people, and they're less likely to get found. Like, and it's just like the fall from grace is
Yeah.
It's such a gut punch. Like I said, like part of it is just like you see these characters that once were like so great, and then seeing what's become, and it's kind of terrifying too. Like the whole like deal, like Charles is really old, and like someone with his power, it's like, oh, we see that like even though that these guys are like really powerful, Father Time still catches up to you eventually. Even someone with Wolverine, it eventually caught up to him. We find out like because it's the adamantium after all, like that's poisoning him.
Yeah,
which is like crazy, you know, like because like at the time, like I never put like 2 and 2 together on that, you know, like so like when I first saw the movie and they announced it, I was like, oh geez, because like it kind of in some way it kind of makes sense because it's toxic, so he's always like at a limited power because his body's already constantly trying to heal. So like
I prefer him being immortal. Keep him that way.
Yeah.
This is too sad.
Yeah, this is just so sad.
Yeah, and it's just like boom. And so the opening it's like it really sets the tone like in a like that this is not a good time to be the X-Men. Like or like what's left of it. Like because it's a dystopia for mutants. If you really think about it, everybody else is living an everyday life. Like to them, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing going on. But for like our heroes and like the mutants, this is about as hell on earth as you can get.
Yeah.
Like this is pretty damn rock bottom. So it's just, it really does a good job at making you feel like holy shit, the world's a problem. But like then as you go throughout the movie and you see him go into the city, it's just like, oh, the world's fine. It's just mutants themselves. The mutant world is what's fun. So I mean, they did a great job. Like it was a great job setting the tone.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, your thoughts on this?
It just made me sad, man. That's it.
My fictional dads. No.
I mean, you watch all this stuff, fucking super suits and fucking all this shit, and then you see, again, Father Time catching up to you, and it just sets a realization into you that, nothing is permanent or immortal, so
Yeah.
it's sad.
Yeah, sadly. I mean, we would all love things to be permanent for sure. But
Like if we could permanently ban Kevin from the Zoom meetings, that would be fun.
I'll still be here.
Let's put it in the books for next week. We can talk about it.
So then let's talk about Daphne Keane as Laura or X-23. So them putting a child into this, like, I mean, there's some child actors that do not work in some movies, but like for this, like she was amazing in this, like, and for a child actor as young as she is, and just like being able to just be what she needs to be for this movie, exactly what they wanted her to be. And just like she's still doing things, like she's still a kid, she's pressing all the elevator buttons and doing that annoying kid stuff, but she is a threat. She is brutal. She knows how to kill people. Like it's just, but then like having like the father-daughter relationship as well, and Logan teaching her what's like right and wrong, like as well. Like there's just so much that works with her character and just like this relationship that they build up over the course of the movie. So your guys' thoughts?
I do agree. I think with kid actors, like it's either very hit or miss, when nowadays, you think of the typical Disney Channel actor, like the overproduced laugh, and it's just too much. Like with this girl, there needed to be a child that was like, sorry to bring up Harry Potter, but like as intense, that had as intense eyes as like Daniel Radcliffe or like Elijah Wood did in Lord of the Rings. And like her eyes, the way she stared, that scowl was just so reminiscent of Wolverine that like the acting choice was like perfect. The casting choice was perfect, but the way the actor executed it was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Will, Kevin, your guys' thoughts?
She's great. I hope she shows up in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, I hope so as well.
She was just, it was a small role, but she was just on The Acolyte. So she's working with Disney. So like
she's claimed that she's not in Deadpool and Wolverine in recent interviews, but again, people lie like that. We saw Andrew Garfield lie about it.
Garfield lied about No Way Home. So like I hope she's there. Like she was really good. It was, and like it's from the comics. But like her having a slightly different version of his power is also cool, like because she has the foot claw, like like she has the 2 instead of the 3, so like she's clearly his his DNA, but like isn't just a carbon copy. It's the character design has done really well.
They always say like your kids are the best part of you and better, so I think it was kind of like a play on that, like your kids are gonna whoop your ass. Pretty much.
Like your kids are all adopted or what? Like,
what did you say, fucker?
I said, so what? Your kids are all adopted or what? Because they seem wonderful, and like they didn't get that from you.
No, they are very nice and polite when they are supposed to be, but otherwise they are like bumping heads like dinosaurs. I have to pull them apart. It's a fucking nightmare over here. But we get by. I run a tight ship.
And yeah, Daphne Keane, like as an actress, like she legitimately seemed like she could and would take on these like people with guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
I
Daphne
noticed
King.
they used a lot of characters for at the time this came out. I think it was 2017. There were
Yep.
a lot of people that like the woman who brought fucking 23 to Logan at first.
Yeah.
I couldn't see her at first, but I heard her speaking and I was like, I know who that is. And she played this woman Aleda in Orange is the New Black, and like I just fucking love her in there. And also the kid that gets murdered at the house, he also plays a vampire in that show Legacies, that's like a spin-off of Vampire Diaries. So I was like,
Okay.
oh, I can't see him as anything else, just like Miley Cyrus's boyfriend in that other movie. And I also really like that Will said that he liked the music because one of the songs is from the show Dance Moms, and I was just like,
Dang.
I love that show.
You would.
Abby Lee Miller's my favorite. I would teach just like her.
Obviously, she is.
All right. Well, your thoughts on X-23, Daphne Keene?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just echoing what they've said. I mean, I think her chemistry with Hugh is like really cute, cool. Like it was like definitely a father-daughter kind of deal. It was a good little trope of unexpected dad, rude daughter kind of deal, you know.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It's nice seeing that grumpier but like still care giving side of Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Like see like as like, you know, he's kind of becoming more accepting of her around, realizing that like at the end of the day no one else would take care of her. Like he's got to be the one. So it's really nice. She did a phenomenal job. Like she was good at like showing that side of like, oh, I could see Wolverine in her, but she was her own character, and I think that's really cool. Like Kevin was saying, you don't want just a mini carbon copy of Wolverine because you're not going to out Wolverine actually Wolverine. Like you won't do it. Yeah. But it was a great way to where you see like how she's still very young, but where she's actually in some ways were probably more of a threat than Wolverine was, because Wolverine, when he went through the Weapon X program, he was already a grown man, developed. He already had the skills he had. Obviously, he gained more, but like, you know, he had what he had. She, from the very beginning, was plucked and is being used as the weapon. So you see, like, the potential with her is just insane. And like, she did a phenomenal job. Like I do hope we see more of her. And it's just like she is probably one of like the best legacy characters introduced and set up.
Yep.
Like, there's like a lot of other characters that are like quote unquote legacy characters, but they're just like kind of plugged in, and everyone's really hit or miss on it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But with her X-23, nobody without any doubts got any questions that like she could take on the Wolverine mantle and nobody would say shit.
Right.
Like
if she was Wolverine, like if Daphne Keene's Laura Kinney X-23, if she was, wait, is that her last name or is that a famous person's last name? I forget now. Anyway, Laura. I was gonna say, I'm like, wait a second, I think that's a famous person. I think I just confused that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, if Daphne Keene's Laura X-23 was like the Wolverine going forward, people would, that would be, even with as much like crap as people give the MCU about female characters, would be totally fine. People would be like, yes, she was amazing. You know, like everyone loved her. She's great.
Yeah. Well, and just like the moment she comes out with like after the guys, the military guys go in, and like she just comes out with the dude's head and like rolls it towards them, like,
oh my god,
like the girl, that's my daughter right there, dude. That's adorable in a freaky way. It's like, okay, wow, she means business. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Like this is when you realize, like, oh, this isn't just trauma. This is violent drama. Okay, wow, lots to unpack here.
Yeah, I think it was best described by that guy when I first showed the kids. I think it was like, rage cannot be nurtured; it can only be designed. Fucking makes sense,
right?
They know how to design it. That's for sure. Very effective there.
Yeah,
but like Well, like what Kevin said though, real quick too, it's also really cool, like with her having some unique features compared to Wolverine, because it also shows progression though too of what the Weapon X program was.
Yes.
It didn't stop after Logan. Like they kept trying again. And if you even think about it, there was attempts before Logan, because the whole thing about Weapon X was trying to create Captain America all over again.
Yeah.
And so you have all these different iterations and versions of the idea of the super soldier, but they all turned out differently. And so like it makes sense that X-23 is different, and in a lot of ways arguably is better than technically what Weapon X was. Obviously what makes up for it is because Logan has the experience that he has and the other abilities with it. But like on paper, X-23 from the adamantium and the programming they did, it's more efficient in a way because, like I said, they plucked her as a child. You can develop a child into a weapon, like because you see she's sheltered as fuck. Like she don't know nothing but cruelty, rage, and she don't know how to be a kid.
Right. All right.
I'm sorry, are we talking about my childhood or the movie?
The movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, just checking.
Start sprouting claws, and I don't mean you just sharpening your nails.
Oh gosh, there was just so many good lines in this movie. Like I liked when they were fighting in the car and Charles was like, "That's your daughter," and he was just like, "I don't want to fucking hear it," and he was just like, "Logan," and he's like, "I don't want to hear it," and he's like, "Logan, I have to pee."
Yeah,
I was just like, I love that. I have to pee all the time too.
Yeah, I liked when Logan's like, "You got to take your medicine. You got to show me your mouth," and you just have Charles just like sticking out his tongue and just. I thought that was funny too. So there were some jokes in this movie that were
It was
good.
good. I like with how sad it was. Like I'm glad they did take the time to like try to alleviate it with like some funny things like that, but not also overdoing it. So it was like, come on, they like kept it real life.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta have some good feels, good moments.
I was you bet I would fuck with you all the time. Like if I ever die, I am haunting all of you.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that you're like clearly you're already dead. So like that's what's happening now.
Yeah, can't kill what's already been dead.
All right. Well,
one example. See, she disappeared. Boom.
Yeah, she's gone.
Right. Looks like a scene from that movie Unfriended where they were all dying on Zoom.
Oh my god. All right.
In case you missed it, Sarah, I basically said that you already were clearly dead and therefore haunting us. That's what this is.
Essentially, yes, especially when I see you in August.
And then in December.
If you don't go out in the daylight, I'll know.
I am going to throw you off Hagrid's roller coaster ride. If you sit in the sidecar, I'm pushing you out.
It's been a while since I've gotten Sarah threatening Kevin's life.
Ming, you can make a tally of it.
Yeah.
Right, I know. I'm so sick and tired of those fucking hellscape people. Sarah and Kevin's fake fights. I would push him off a roof like those eggs in a bag in a fucking second.
All right. Well, so then let's talk about our villains. So we have Richard E. Grant, who is later going to return into the MCU as classic Loki in season 1 of Loki. And he is Xander Rice in this. So it's just funny what like 4 years before he was classic Loki of him just being this random like evil scientist dude. And it's interesting for him because it's like at first it seems like he is like understanding and trying to be like this calm character, but then like you see how like manipulative he is and how evil he actually is, and he's just okay like with like X-24, their new Logan going around and like killing innocent people as well. So like just like how evil this guy is.
Like a Temu fucking Wolverine, get out of here.
And I didn't remember this from the first movie. I don't know if it's like a scene that was added in later. I don't know if I just didn't pay attention. Like I saw this in the theater, and I do not go to the bathroom during a theater movie. Like I will hold that for as long as I have to. Didn't get up during Endgame. But no, like after Caliban dies, and like Caliban's on the table, and he's just walking by, and he's like, "Oh yeah, and take that one's DNA. I want it. It's a tracker." It like so like cold and just like I was like, "Ooh, this man is brutal, evil."
Well,
like his head is like exploded right there, and he's just like, "Yeah, take that one. I want that one's DNA."
It should be easy to find. It's literally over there, and over there, and over there.
Right. And it's like it was up there with like Trask calling Mystique it all the time. Just that like super cold, just like
and they kind of make that offhand comment that lady got on camera where the doctor told the other nurse, like, don't consider them humans, they're things. And I think that kind of like set the precedent for just like them treating them like things,
Yep. Yeah. And just like, I don't know, like again, like he's literally okay with like X-24 just going in and murdering this mother, father, and kid, like just because he can. So like it's interesting. Well, and then there's the one scene like when then like the racists come in and like the X-24 like literally just is killing all these like racist Southerners and like and then he's like, and it seems like he's a little bit like, whoa, I didn't tell you to do that or whatever, which I thought was interesting. But
I mean, maybe he should have gone over to that computer program that they had in X-Men Origins Wolverine and just like backspace the word decapitate. Like, I don't know.
That's so weird that was actually a thing in that movie.
It was fun. I think this is just one of those things.
I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah.
Just wanted to add that to the conversation because I thought it was fun.
I mean, this is just one of those things where it's like he played the scumbag really well, and it's like at the end of the day, it's not about like one individual person. Like he's just like representing the organization because we know the organization as a whole is what is the bigger evil picture at the end of it all. But he was like the face of it all. He did a really good job, like just being scum, like you're saying, just being cold-hearted. And it just shows, though, like again, these are the people who ultimately started off raising these kids, and turning them into weapons. So it's like, it's kind of fitting in a way that you have some cold asshole who's just like, fuck it. People die, they die.
Right.
Can't make an omelet without cracking some few eggs or taking some dude's head off. Who knows? Potato. Like, you always get those sayings mixed up.
Yeah.
Wanted to make an omelet. Break some eggs. Take off a guy's head. Close enough. I guess we can make an omelet later.
Eggs, skulls, whatever.
So then we also have the guy with the robot hand as well in here. Donald Pierce is the character's name, but I didn't know that because I don't really even say his name in the movie that much.
Yeah, I think he says it when he introduces himself in the very beginning, I think. But like
probably,
whatever.
But either way, like it's just the guy with the robot hand. So he's there. I mean, he's the one who's literally approaches Logan first and like basically threatens him. And so, I mean, he's a cool part of this movie. And just like he has a cool, well-deserved death scene by the end. So
yeah, and I had said to Jake, and I think Will earlier, like I vaguely remember that at the time when this was being cast, like people being like, ooh, is that guy gonna be like, he has a cool Southern accent, is he gonna be Gambit? He's not. Instead, he's just an asshole with a robot arm. Which, how did he get the robot arm? Because that other guy gets his arm like pretty brutally taken out by one of the kids. So
yeah, with getting frozen and then
yeah, she freezes it solid and then just shatters it.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you too?
That was good. Yeah.
Did one of the kids do that to you too? Is that why you don't have an arm?
I don't know. Like it's like it never gets explained. He's like, just when he tells Logan, like, just like you, I'm enhanced or whatever. But that's like all we hear.
It's a qualification you have to work there. It's just like, hey, listen, we will hire you, but are you willing to sacrifice an arm in the name of science and enhancement? And he's just like, fuck it, just Take it. Go ahead. We'll give you a cool robot arm. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sure. Then you get a robot arm and they just call him enhanced. But in reality, he's just at home with a cord in his arm, just like, man, all this advanced technology. And I got to charge every day.
I do like the general idea that he's clearly one of the people who hunts mutants. And so I like the idea of not even telling us he lost it at some point in his tracking down and hunting and trying to bring in mutants, that somebody fought back and he lost an arm, but he kept going because he's that much of a bad guy.
Right.
Why can't that vampire guy be in the sun? What is that?
Caliban, because he's weak to the sun.
That's just his thing. So
yeah.
I just feel like that's stupid, right?
That's you. That's fucking you, though. That's gonna be the most sun exposure you get this week.
Right. It is.
Hey, I'm pretty tan. Look at you can see that I'm pretty tan.
That is the pot calling the kettle pasty white. That is just unfair.
No, it's so bad. This looks nice, but if you look at the underside, it's so bad.
Yeah, that's just his thing. So in the comics too, he's one of the Morlocks who live in the sewers. So.
Okay, yeah, I just wish in some things they would give a little more context. You know what I mean, or some more information.
That's fair. I think for this movie, because it was sort of a finale to the X-Men, they just, for some things, they just kind of assumed that you would know certain comic references and whatnot. So
that are left up to the imagination. Honestly, I didn't give a shit how that lost his arm. I figured it's just either he sacrificed it, in the name for enhancements, because you're going against mutants, you're gonna need an advantage, or maybe you did lose it, and you know what? You got some pretty good health care. You get an robot arm as a replacement. Cool.
Yeah, I just thought it's just kind of weird that one guy has a weakness when it's you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, I guess, in this world of mutants, it's fine. But to me, I'm okay, so does everyone have a weakness? Does this guy really hate aluminum foil or something? What are we doing? You know?
You gotta remember, at the end of the day, the base premise around their powers is a mutation.
Yeah.
So it's there's probably going to be cons. Prime example, I mean, it's not part of his original mutation, but Wolverine's claws, the metal is poisoning him. That's catching up to him. It's a weakness that we didn't know about up until this point, but now it's more than ever relevant. And you even see in the movie, he's not healing as well as he has in the past because he's old as fuck, and the poison's finally catching up to him.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So how does that feel, Kevin?
He don't got metal in his bones. That's why he's lived as long as he has.
Yeah.
No, I think he hides I think there's a metal antenna. He hides it in his man button.
This is where I get all my signal.
That's what I'm saying.
Becomes solar power for the years.
Cam's now say this mean thing to Sara, and I'm like, beep, 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 beep.
Mistypes. That's why sometimes Kevin.
And then Kevin goes, cannot compute. Vote Cam. Vote Cam.
I did want to say as well with these bad guys, I believe at one point before they took it out of the movie, I watched something and it said they were originally going to tease Mr. Sinister through them, but that just didn't end up happening. So I found that interesting.
I understand why they would think have that idea. They're kind of maybe they're taking DNA from mutants and building mutants, which is kind of a Mr. Sinister thing to do, but it doesn't. That's too kind of fantastical. This is a much more grounded thing. So it doesn't work for this movie, but I get why they would have thought of it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that they took that out of the movie as well. But I mean, at least we got Mr. Sinister in X-Men 97, so it worked anyway. But
yes.
All right, so let's talk about the deaths, and let's talk about the death of Charles Xavier again, but this is probably his most brutal one. And I mean, something bad is about to happen when he's in bed and you see that someone has walked up to him, and it's probably not our Logan, that something else is about to go wrong, and he's having his whole final lines, and then you just have X-24 putting his hands on him and just going it's just a very brutal death, and definitely super sad because, again, we've built up this version of Charles Xavier throughout this entire movie, and you know, it sucks.
Well, not only that, but the idea that like, did he know that it wasn't Wolverine? Did he know that it wasn't Logan, that it was this other person? Like Logan has done so much to keep him alive. Does he think in his dying moments that like Logan was like tired of taking care of him and like killed him himself? You know, because
you have Logan running up the stairs and being like, I think he says, Charles, it wasn't me, you know, because he thinks that Charles is thinking in his last moments that
right. It's not even just like that he dies and that like it's a violent death, but it's also the repercussions of it.
Yes.
That like it just like
yeah, it hurts. And like especially because like at one point when they're staying with that family and Logan's like introducing them to the family and he's like, this is my dad Chuck, and like just like the fact that he even
so funny
it, like
that was my favorite
Chuck.
when it was just like, oh yeah, I kind of ran a special school. He went to it. he wasn't very good, you know.
Yeah,
killed me.
that was another great line.
Oh my god, just the premise alone of the idea that Charles could have had a thought that it was actually Logan killing him in those final moments. It was just, that's what made it hard, was like at this point it's like we see Charles dying in a brutal way, but like the fact that it was the face of the killer was Logan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just made things so much harder. And it was just like, and then Logan running up pleading with Charles that like just it wasn't him. Like it's just like it hurt. Like this isn't the first time we've seen Charles die, but like seeing him go this way, you're just like, it was just at a point where it's like I literally was expecting Charles to die, but I thought it was just time's gonna finally take him.
Yep.
Or it was gonna be
let's also like pour one out, take a moment like to appreciate that like once again in a Wolverine movie, a nice family is just like doing the right thing for the stranger and they end up dying for it. So like
yeah, like the son like runs up and tries to use the bat and then just dies for it immediately, and it was just so sad.
Props to that son. He was not that slow. He was like,
as soon as I was starting the movie and I saw Eric LaSalle at the bottom, I was like, oh, that's right, he's in this movie. Oh God.
Yeah. Well, and it's right after he shares the music with Laura as well, like his music, like he's like, I'll give it back to you in the morning, and just like, oh my God, it's so sad.
You're not giving it back.
Right.
God damn. No, but I loved how it looked like Sabretooth from Wolverine Origin. Like I thought that was like cool little, like nod to that, the wilder side to the more brutal side of Logan. Mm-hmm. But like, oh my God, Charles' death. I was hoping they would just let him go peacefully. I was ready to accept like Charles is just gonna pass away. Like I thought that's what we were setting up with Charles in the bed. I was like, he's gonna just pass away. He did pass away, but that motherfucker died. Like he was murdered. I was not ready for that, and that made it worse.
Yeah, it was brutal to watch.
I was fighting back tears. I genuinely was fighting back tears there. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Sarah, any thoughts?
Not unless you want me to cry.
I always want you to cry. Yes.
We can actually avoid that.
Be motherfucking miserable.
All right. Well, let's talk about the death of Logan then, and let's cry.
Wait, can we at least talk about the good thing?
Oh yeah, no, I mean we can talk about the good things and then end on death of Logan. That's fine. So I mean, some other good things. I mean, then getting to this place that Logan's been telling Laura, like, this isn't real. This is a made up place. This Eden that she so desperately knows that her fellow kids are out there and that they can find them. And just like him being like, it's not real. And then seeing that it is actually real and these kids are out there. And just like, that was cool to just see that and like meet these kids before you get to the final action scene as well. So
that scene, they're in the woods, they're all running. You're rooting for the little girl. Your X-23 is going to town. She's surviving. And just when it's all going to be crazy, everything's overwhelming, you just hear, The sound.
Yes.
Of
The
Logan,
Hugh Jackman Wolverine scream. Yes.
the scream in the fucking distance because they had the drug. Like,
Yes.
I forgot like what their main purpose was. I think like with it, I
The-
think it was essentially just what was fueling X-24, and also just like in general,
Yes.
like part of the enhancements a lot of the guys were taking too, like just to and just him dosing up on it, and you just hear this berserker Wolverine running through the woods, and you just see a brief moment, a glimpse of what Prime Wolverine was, like I said, in rated R glory. Just
Yes.
doing his famous leap, jabbing people, cutting them, dicing everybody up, just going insane. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it made me smile so much just seeing what a lot of people wanted to see in a live action Wolverine movie. Just
Yes.
the brutality of what he does, and just see him not like holding back anymore in that sense. And it was great to see. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Parents
And,
will
like,
do anything for their kids, man.
yes.
Yeah, because he even says leading up to it, he was like, "Don't take that stuff; it makes you crazy." And they're like, "We're giving you some now, and it's helping you heal." Like, which let's also take a moment to appreciate like how brutal that like Wolverine has scars that didn't heal, right?
Yeah.
Like
Because like when he's at the doctor's office and like
when he's at that vet, which also
Yeah.
I mean, props to them too for in terms of like building a real world too. That the vet was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, this was so cool! Like I've always wanted to meet one of you."
Yeah.
Like did a great job of setting up this more grounded real world, but like him, when he takes that drug, like, oh, this is a suicide mission.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna well.
Yep. I also wanted to point out then when he shoots Robot Hand and when he kills Richard E. Grant's character, where he said earlier in the movie to Robot Hand, I believe, "I don't use guns," but so then they don't expect him to pull out the gun and just shoot them. Like, it's so good.
That was so good. And honestly, that was one of my favorite moments because that just goes back to like what you guys said, like Will said, like the true brutality, because that's what it is. Like when you have a second, when you're in a situation, you shoot. They pause. I'm taking that second. You know what I mean? So like that, I do like how that was executed because you think like, oh, this is gonna drag on for a minute or so, fucking banter, and it does not.
He caught them monologuing.
Yeah, it was so
shocking that Sara brags about how she would murder.
I didn't say I would. I just said that was smart. I mean,
you said you would take the
away.
shot. You said you would take the shot.
Okay. Well, I mean, yes, I think anybody would. You know, if you're stuck in a room with Kevin and he looks away at one of his cats, I'm shooting him. If I don't get home by August 10th, call the police and send them to Kevin's house, okay? I'm in his second shower, chained up.
All right then. Any other thoughts on this before we get to the death of Logan?
I did like to see all the kids' powers, and I did like to see how they kind of like all work together. I mean, I did wish I got to see a little more of them, you know what I mean? Because like with kids, like you get invested in them, you know, like how are they gonna be? Like, what are they gonna be okay? You know, so like when they like pretty much like froze buried grass that guy alive, like that was really neat. I just wish there was like a little more, like maybe in that fight scene I would have loved to see like maybe a little bit more one-on-one combat with like each of the kids, but I do understand it was about the father and daughter thing, but it just kind of like gave me reminisced back to that one movie we watched where they were all just standing on the fucking beach letting everybody else fight, you know.
Oh my God, the tag team action with X-23.
Yes, where they're flipping over each other. It's so good.
I mean, I love that he has the moment of like trusting her because he says like, "You'll know the sign. You'll know the signal. When I give you the signal,
you'll know it."
Yeah,
you'll know it. Scream. I also just wanted to bring up as well when Charles is having the freak out at the hotel, the scene of Wolverine like using his claws to get in the room and then just like because the guy's putting his claws through all their heads. Like that's again more brutality.
That was really neat. Yeah, and that was good. And that was something neat because, like, usually in so many scenes, it's fast, it's quick. He's dropped 30 guys, but to see him just to drop 10 and you get to see every, like, that was pretty neat. I did enjoy that. I did want to say it did lead me to believe, like, is that his little freakouts? Like, it's almost like, I mean, I'm sure it was convenience for the movie, but I do feel some of it was, like, purposeful by him because, like, how convenient, you know what I mean? So, like, what are your guys' takes on that? Like, it's just like a senile thing or what?
What
With Charles.
when Charles?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's just old and like sometimes he has a seizure. Like I know the one time in the hotel, he said that he like did on purpose, basically, like he caused it.
Mhm.
So I think it's usually just like a seizure that's out of his control, but I think he also knows like how he can trigger it.
You can provoke it. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, thank you. Fuck you.
Fuck you too.
All right, so let's get to the death of Logan now, and just like how brutal this is that that X-24 just literally, you know, grabs Logan and drags him and just like stabs him through the tree branch, and just like it's so brutal. I mean, at that point, you know that this is where Logan's going to die, and then
I've seen this movie. I
Yeah.
knew what was going to happen. And I was still like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
God, it hit. It's the ultimate sign of seeing your hero fall, and you're just like, you know, there's no getting up from it. Like this is like like Kevin said earlier with like when he was taking the drug. This was like this is the final hurrah. This is the final dash. Like this is just it. And just seeing him get ultimately like he got his ass beat, and it was just like he got some shots in there, but ultimately it was just like, dude, like it was hard to see, and then just him getting like planted on the tree and like just getting impaled through. It's just like I literally was just like my jaw was just wide open the whole time. I just was like, I started crying like because I'm like I can't do this. You can't take Wolverine from me. Like, don't do this.
Yeah, I was so fucking pissed when I texted you guys when I was like, oh, I've only got like 7 minutes left. It hit me with like a fucking 2-3 minute ad. And then I came back to that fucking shit. Like, I was so fucking mad.
Oh my God.
I was so fucking mad. Yeah, because I mean, and also it's very dramatic. Like, and you know, you see him getting paler, and like, so you see the life draining from him, and I can totally understand it from like your guys' perspective, your nerdy fandom. You know what I mean? You've loved this forever, but like coming into it as like a new fan, also Dead Dad's Club, and also a mother. I'm watching this thinking like, oh my God, like he just met his baby, like.
Yeah.
This girl just had the only thing she had to fucking normal to grasp onto in the first place was Charles. He's fucking gone, and now her dad, and he's fucking gone. Like, so as a parent, I'm just like, oh, like come live with me, like, you know what I mean? So like it does, like, again, it pulls on every facet of like people, whether you know you're a super fan or just like a parent, you know. So it was hard to watch.
I think one of my favorite things, though, and it's one of the best things about the internet, people after that scene, because he's holding X-23, he's holding his daughter's hand, and like, you know, like he's like it's I'm crying at this point. Like when she starts crying, and then it does that. And one of the best things about the internet was like they did a callback to the Wolverine, the one where he was in Japan. It was the prediction, and because the prediction was like, I see you dying, holding your heart, and they then clip it with him holding his daughter's hand, and she's like, "That's his heart because it's his daughter," and then it just makes me more sad.
I was gonna bring that up, that it's from the Wolverine, because it's what I like. Like she sees blood, and you're holding your heart in your hand, and like you're like,
Yeah.
Why would you do this? And it's just, oh my God, and just. Like, honestly, like, because, like, he looked rough throughout the whole movie, because that was the point. That's what they were trying to show. But, like, seeing him, like, in that mess, it was just, I think what made both these deaths so hard, none of it was peaceful. None of it was. They were killed. Like, he made peace because he was at least he had his one last moment with his daughter, and seeing her like survive the whole thing made him happy in some ways. But like, there was no it wasn't like just Father Time finally said, come on, bud. Like they took them away from her, and it was just so devastating, so sad. And then at the time, like everyone going in the movie knew that this was Hugh Jackman's last time as Wolverine. Like at this moment in time,
Yeah,
right.
Nobody like thought that Deadpool 3 was going to be a thing with Wolverine coming back, or even if it was, it would have been a cameo at best.
Yeah, yeah.
But at this point, like literally, you were seeing the last of this iconic character, this iconic actor who like defied the like one of the most perfect casting there was.
17 years he was playing this character.
I think at this point he was the longest running like actor to play a role, like a specific role.
Yeah, he was, and he's reclaimed that now. Yeah. So.
And oh my goodness,
are you almost done with that milk that you just picked up?
No, I got like regular milk. This is just my water.
Okay. I was like, boy, we've been talking an hour. A gallon of milk? How have you not peed yet?
All right. But
I bet you have. That's why we can only see half your body.
Not everyone is as embarrassing as you, Sarah. Not everyone does this sort of
You
thing.
have water jugs and piss jugs.
Okay, so I mean,
I mixed up. It's really unfortunate.
anyways, getting back to this, so now we will see Wolverine make his comeback again in Deadpool and Wolverine. Where do we
Which
think
I'm
this
just
character-
like, what? You know what I mean?
It's a different Wolverine, but
yes. So my thing is, it could be the Wolverine from before Logan, the events of Logan happened. It could be right when the other X-Men die, because how the trailer makes it seem is that this is, this Logan let down his entire world. The other X-Men have all died as well. So like, this could be that same Wolverine just before Logan happened.
Okay, which one are we watching next?
Well, we're watching
the Deadpool's next.
So
Deadpool. Okay. Oh, I can't wait.
We're doing like a little what if. What are we thinking about this Wolverine return?
What do we think will happen with his character going into Deadpool and Wolverine?
I mean, I think that this is just a different Wolverine in general. I think this is like he's wearing the yellow and blue costume. Like I think this is just a Wolverine, and like I assume that for whatever reason, probably because Deadpool at the end of Deadpool 2 messes with the timeline, I assume the TVA steps in because that exists in the MCU. I assume they step in and we go from there.
Yeah, well, this will make more sense to you, Sarah, in a couple weeks when we get through both Deadpools.
I love how you were the only one that caught me being like, what?
Yeah, I knew you were confused. You will see what happens.
I think it's gonna be a different Wolverine entirely, but like I think ultimately like the real, and this isn't like a plot line thing, I think the real reason why he came back was I think he had some time away from it, and I think ultimately like this might be like a way to send off Wolverine in a satisfying way where we can get everything we wanted from it. See him in the yellow, see a prime Wolverine, just kick ass and shit like that. Like, for as great as a wrap up Logan was, I don't think his appearance is going to undermine that in any shape or form.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lie. I think in some ways it does, because the idea of multiverse and multi-timelines just by itself undermines every death. Mm-hmm. It always does. I think the best way they could probably go about this is if we just get a Wolverine. It's so tough because like Wolverine has like a set personality. Like if you're grumpy, you got Wolverine there. But I think I would like this Wolverine to be more just pure aggression, essentially. Just like, especially if this is a Wolverine that lost it all at an early age. Like, I'm hoping like this is a very like dickish Wolverine, I guess, in a sense. Like, I'd be fine with that because there's no mentorship here. You're just here to kill shit. Fucking go ham with Deadpool. Give us the interaction we've all been wanting for a while now. Like I don't think it's gonna undermine Logan at all, or like to a major degree.
I think it's I think this Logan is different than any of the Wolverines that we're getting in the movies. And I mean, good. Leave this Logan alone. Let this movie exist on its own.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I mean, Kevin Feige did say they're not gonna touch anything that happened with Logan, so it probably is a completely different one. So,
oh yeah, well, it's gonna be kind of cool, and it's gonna be funky because as we've seen in the trailer too, we get like X-Men 1 Sabretooth.
Yes, Tyler Mane. Yeah,
dope as fuck. I'm excited. I think he had more lines in the trailer than he did in the movie, but that's just me.
Yeah,
or it's pretty damn close actually. No, it's close. Because he says
because he did say he wanted Storm to scream, and then he said, "You owe me a scream," and he said something to Magneto in like the cave before Magneto locked him back behind the bars. So he had a couple of lines in that first movie.
So there was like 3. So, but already we're like a third of the way there with the trailer. We know he's gonna see kind of guy, and he's probably gonna like start talking shit.
Yeah. And just like it's an interesting kind of newer look too. You got like big eyebrows, and
I'm already predicting this now, unless they change something else. It's gonna be nice to see the fight, but at the same time, I think I'm gonna be a little disappointed. And I shouldn't expect like really good banter between Sabretooth and Wolverine, like trash talking, because if it's staying true, this Sabretooth is in Deadpool's original timeline and not the same Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't think there's like actual like a history beat between these two specific ones. It's just the idea of Sabretooth character versus Wolverine character. Here's the fight you guys been really wanting for a while now.
Exactly. All right.
It would be dope if like they throw in a twist of like, hey, because the TVA is involved, like Logan isn't the only one that kind of got plucked. Like some other shit's leaking out or somewhere else, and that Sabretooth is from that Logan's timeline. So that'd be great because then they'd be like, hey, I do fucking know you, and here's receipts of our beef. I would love that, but I'm not gonna expect it.
Yeah, let's hope. All right, let's move on to let's just do a top. I mean, I think the top 3 characters are Logan, X-23, and Charles. Like, I feel like we don't need to do a top 5.
It's their story. It's just
Yeah, it's their like child, parent, grandparent storyline.
Yep. So
100%.
All right. Now let's head to the rankings. So the current rankings as they stand: number 1 is First Class. Number 2 is Days of Future Past. Number 3 is X2. Number 3 is X1. And number 5 is Last Stand. And I guess if you wanted to throw in the Wolverine movies, I would put them in last. So, but yeah, so for Logan, I think Will said it earlier. I am also going to push for this to be number 1. I think Logan is a great movie. I don't see any super glaring flaws. It was a great way to end the character for the time being, as we said, and just like the way we got to see the most brutal version of the character that we've ever had and still give this character humanity, and just like it was so good. So I think this should be number 1 in the rankings.
Well, I'm gonna fight with you, Jakey Poot.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I hate when Sarah and I end up agreeing on things, but like, I know. But like, here's the thing. This is like the one that like I didn't want to rewatch because it is not a fun movie. And
I
like,
understand that.
like,
right,
so
this is like being like Schindler's
I
List is
want to
my
watch Days of Future Past again. I thought about going back to rewatch Days of Future Past, even though we talked about it. Like, I've thought about going back to watch it again because I'm like, oh yeah, that was really good. I should watch that again. Like, First Class, like, ooh, I should watch First Class again because I picked up on some things this time that like I didn't see the first time. But like, I should watch that again, right? Like, I've watched X2 so many times over the years. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna, and not because I don't like it. I do like it, but I am not gonna watch Logan again and again and again. It's like it makes me sad. So I'm not gonna.
I'm never watching that fucking movie again.
I get it. I totally get it. Like, it is not something that it can be rewatched. I just guess as a movie, I think like how well put together.
And I guess it kind of comes down to like what I mean, how you define like a good movie. So like I guess look at it. So like yes, in terms of writing and what it is a great movie. You know, you like Jake said, it has these amazing good ends to these characters. They obviously put a lot of time, the effort, the casting, the filmmaking. It was great. But when you, I guess from a new fan, but I guess I would kind of think from your guys' perspective, like maybe that's why Kevin agrees with me, is like kind of when you think of X-Men, it is the fighting and the blood and the coolness and the suits, and like that's kind of what you want to see. Like, and like Kevin said, kind of like off replayability, is that he'll always go back to the other ones versus this one. Like, this is a good film, but I think like I would go watch the other ones better. Like the one with the fucking Magneto reverse bomb, I would watch that one a million times before I ever fucking watch this piece of shit again. Although it is a good movie, I would put it at probably like 2 or 3, you know, but I do think I like the other one better.
That's completely fair. And like if I was gonna look at movies that I enjoy more, I mean, I honestly really enjoy watching the 2 Deadpools more than this in terms of like if I'm going by that logic. But I just think like it's better put together than every other movie so far, but I'm cool if it ends up at 2 or 3, but we'll see what Will thinks.
I mean, I think it should be number 1 because I think it's harder to write and execute a genuinely sad movie than it is to write a pleasant ride, like a joyful movie. I think with joy, and a lot of the X-Men movies where the joy comes from, like it's like I think good because what their strengths are is like really good overall, putting in good action scenes, and they're very entertaining. You can get very colorful with it, seeing powers, seeing people, especially characters you really like, seeing them perform these feats. It's always a good time. It's really nice to see. But I think it takes a lot of skill and like talent on the writing end to write an engaging, because nobody likes to feel sad.
Yeah.
So like you could set up like a depressing scene, but you can make people tune out of the movie real quick if it's too just glaring like sad, like right off rip, or like disturbing. You can tune people out. So it takes really good writing to keep an audience engaged with the story, especially when you know at the end of the day, because the writing's on the wall throughout the movie, you know eventually these things are going to happen. You just don't want it to. You're like living in denial, and I think it takes a lot of great writing to keep you engaged with it. I think the shots that they do, like some camera angles, the soundtrack, like I said, the music that they use, like honestly, like with even like the build up for it too, using Johnny Cash like as a way to like set the mood for this movie is so powerful. I just
don't forget the Dance Mom song.
Yeah, the Dance Mom song too. Yes, of course. How could I forget?
Party starts right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know that it's a very well made movie. I know it's very well written. I know that there are actual callbacks to other movies. Like, not only would I not rewatch it because it's sad, I would also say that like one of the big things for me about the X-Men in general is the allegorical nature of it, right? Like that, like the X-Men stand in for, you know, marginalized groups.
Right.
And like that's also not like that is not like it doesn't work. That analogy doesn't work as well in this movie because like those marginalized groups don't get wiped out. Like, you know, like, I mean, yes, genocides and ethnic cleansings happen. Like, I'm not saying that part of it, but like that idea of like this group that's like African Americans, like immigrants, like gay people, like whatever like group were assigned to that, like those groups don't go away. So like it just like that analogy doesn't work, and like that's one of the things that I love most about it. So like I would still say it's a very good movie. I would still say it's in the top 5, but I mean, out of how many? Well, how many at this point? Well, we skipped a bunch of them, so I don't know. It's hard to say. Like,
we skipped 2 of them that are at the bottom, I think. So,
right,
Kevin's
like,
over
I
here
would still
acting like fucking Charles.
It's definitely the best of the Wolverine movies, right? Like, it's clearly the best of them. And then it's better than X1, because X1 is just like
And it's
too
better than
small.
Last Stand, so it's better
It's
than
better than Last Stand. It's better than either of the New Mutants or Dark Phoenix for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's better than Apocalypse. I would say it's better than Apocalypse just because I think Apocalypse gets sloppy. But I think like Apocalypse is still like entertaining. But like I would go back and watch those other three before I would watch this. I mean, I also think that Days of Future Past is the best one, and I already got outvoted on that. But like, I would not put this at number one.
Okay, so if Will and I are saying number one, what are you guys officially saying so we can average it out?
I would say 2.
Okay.
I would say,
But again, like that's just like I haven't seen the other ones too, so like you know what I mean. I was having skipped so many, but like from the ones that I've seen so far, I would definitely do like a solid 2.
Okay.
Kevin's a weird one because like Kevin, like on his own list, if I'm reading it right, because he had Days of Future Past as 1.
Yes.
So he's gonna be voting in. Like, so Kevin's vote is gonna ultimately change like where this goes.
oh no, I'm just like I would put it probably like 4 or 5. Like I would have it like I like it, but I just like other ones more. So I would have it at
one last thing, like this is gonna be like my final case, because like I get like the value of like rewatching a movie, like being able and being entertaining, because like I said, it's not fun being sad. Nobody like it's like I think though what it does well though, and where I will say I think it does, it's one of those one-time watch movies though. It's only a one-time watch because it's a fulfilling movie. Because you went through the journey, you're like, cool, I felt all that. There's no need to really rewatch it. Maybe once in a while, like if you're just like, you know what? Like if you're watching, like if you're on a streak of the Wolverine movies, or you're just like, you know what? I'm kind of like in one of those like, you know, just older, like depressing moods. Like, let me just watch it.
If you want to cry about your dead dad, it's perfect.
Yeah, something like that, you know, or like that. Like you're not gonna rewatch it because you got what you wanted out of the movie. Whereas the entertaining movies, they're easier to rewatch because every now and then, if you're feeling sad, it's like, oh, I need something to cheer me up. I'm gonna put on this movie I enjoy.
I'm gonna put on Saw 6. I'm not gonna put on this.
Your therapist really needs a little bit more time with you. I swear, questioning the Saw choice. There's better horror out there. Come on.
All right.
But I think as a whole though, Logan should. Why I would put number one is because I think it does a really good job at just knowing when it needs to end. The other X-Men movies, I think a lot of times there's a point in the movie where you see now all of a sudden the cart's getting in front of the horse and like, we got to set this stuff up. But they're forgetting to complete the story that they're in the middle of telling.
Right.
And I think Logan is better at. It's just, this is our story. We are finishing the story. Leaving it this.
Yep. All right. So Kevin, what are you giving it?
I would say like 4. Like it's okay. I like it. I'm not dissing it, but it
you dissing it.
Okay.
But I'm putting the other ones above it. I like the other ones better.
Yeah. Well, so by averaging it out, Will and I gave it a 1, Sara 2, Kevin 4. Averages out to a 2. It is number 2.
Well, it's number 2. However, Days of Future Past was also averaged out to a 2. So like,
oh, I was saying, I mean,
oh yeah, you got to
determine that
point. So Days of Future Past.
That's true.
Okay. So now that's the discussion. We're gonna either knock one of them to 3. You gotta knock one to 3.
Which one is that? Did I watch that one?
No, Sarah's not seen Days of Future Past, so.
Oh yeah.
I think by this point, Will and I would then outvote Kevin on.
Nope. We're gonna put it to the audience. Fuck it. Let them decide.
The audience. Okay.
Fuck it. Because at this point, because Sarah hasn't seen it, and I think the only way to be fair, if we weren't realized, is just have Sara kind of choose. Because we're not gonna just outvote Kevin, because that's not. I don't think that's really fair.
I mean, you could, and Cameron's vote doesn't count because he didn't show up.
he didn't make it to the merge. So
Yeah, he did not complete. He did not pass go.
Because ultimately, it's not at number one, which is fine because Kevin gave in both Sara and Kevin gave valid reasons for it. So it's like, but I don't want to like just automatically be like, well, there goes Days of Future Past down to 3. No, you would have to like discuss it between the two because ultimately that was what kept Kevin from putting that number one because you love Days of Future Past the most out of all the X-Men movies. Out of all of these movies, right?
Oh, that's Days of Future Past is like I'll just sit and I'll watch that in the final battle.
Yeah,
like I'll just sit and watch the two of them back to back.
Yeah,
fun.
the way you were sounding, like it was just like nothing was gonna top Days of Future Past. So it's just
I like submitted my list to Jake a while ago. Days of Future Past is still number one. It's my number one. It's never gonna be. It's like
sold
until the MCU does something better.
Enough.
All right. So First Class is going to be at number 1. We're going to break the tie eventually between Logan and Days of Future Past, but that's tied for number 2. Number 4, X2. Number 5, X1. Number 6, Last Stand. And then if we're ever going to put Apocalypse and the Wolverines up there, they'll probably be the last 3.
The
So.
Wolverine is better than X-Men 3, in my opinion. Wolverine Origin, you can have below X-Men 3.
The Wolverine is not a terrible movie.
No, I think it's better than X-Men 3. I think it's agree.
I didn't enjoy it as much. I liked parts of it, but I don't know if I just wasn't as invested in the Wolverine as much for some reason.
You a hater. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. You're allowed to have your opinion, even if it's objectively incorrect.
At least we can agree. Apparently, everyone of us but Cameron thinks Origins Wolverine is terrible. So
listen, Cam's just trolling us because he can.
Yeah.
Give me like 8 beers deep. I will always have a good time with Wolverine's Origin. I just will stop watching at a certain point and I'll be like, cool, that's it. Just show me I'm good to go. We're awesome.
All right. So that's where it stands. The fun, at least it will be more fun the next 2 weeks leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine because we are going to watch Deadpool next week and then Deadpool 2 after, the week after. So we will get to see Ryan Reynolds as the Merc with the mouth. We saw him technically in Origins Wolverine, but then they botched him at the end. So this is the proper Deadpool that we're finally seeing. And it'll be fun to talk about all the jokes and this character starting next week. So I'm really excited because I do enjoy both Deadpools quite a bit because I just like the humor and the character. And so.
Troll icons, baby.
Yeah. So,
you'll like it, Sarah. There's lots of blood.
I do. I watched the first Deadpool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, so you're gonna enjoy the humor. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So,
man,
and we'll get to talk about Francis and yeah. So, that'll be fun. Other than that, Matt, Michael, and I are going to be doing some more interviews with Australian Survivor players. We will release the first one tomorrow, who that is going to be as soon as that gets confirmed, which we hope it will be, but we just want to make sure. So we're releasing that tomorrow. So get excited for that. It is going to be another 2-time Survivor player from Australian Survivor. And so that's going to be exciting. I can tell you guys who it is off recording.
We get the tea first. Fuck you, audience.
Yeah.
Don't they know who they are anyways?
Yeah, Will doesn't know. So, oops. All right. And then other than that, we'll take a break otherwise from our season reviews of Australian Survivor. So the next time we review season 6 of Australian Survivor, which is Brains versus Brawn, which is the first season of King George. So that should be exciting. That'll be in a couple weeks. So, but other than that, anything else you guys want to say before we close it out?
I just wanted to remind everybody that I won my 3rd game. Thank you, Twisted Sisters. So, fuck you, Kevin, and fuck you, Devin.
Hold on. There's something coming. Hold on. It's still like the it's fuck you, Sarah. That's what I was going for. Yeah.
After I'm sure watching this movie kind of sparked, this, you being senile and old. So it's okay, Kevin. Yep, I heard you. Good job.
All right. Well, on that note, we will see you next time on the Tribe of Nerds.